Welcome to Taking a Career Break with Katrina McGhee, the show for high achievers who are feeling burned out, unfulfilled, and ready to dream big.
Hi there, I'm Katrina, your career break and sabbatical coach, author of the best-selling Taking a Career Break for Dummies, and your co-host.
And I'm James Hammond, your co-host and producer. If you're ready to take a life-changing break that leads to a happier, healthier, and a more fulfilling life, then you're in the right place.
I'm going to break down my proven framework that's helped over 100 clients achieve transformative breaks. Are you ready to change your life? Let's go.
Before we dive in, if you are a regular listener and you enjoy our free podcast, please give us a positive 5-star review, subscribe on Apple or Spotify or any of the podcast apps that you listen on.
Or share this episode with a friend who needs it so we can keep this great podcast going. Okay, back to the show.
Hello and welcome to episode 35 today. And we're discussing what kind of break should I take and how long should it last. Katrina, how are you doing?
Hi, James. I'm great. I am great. How are you doing?
I'm doing all right on this Wednesday.
Yeah.
Hump day. That's what they say, isn't
Happy
it?
Hump Day.
That's the most cringe term going, isn't it?
I mean, it's just a part, yeah, but it's like literally, I think since I started my corporate life at age 21, like I feel like Hump Day was like a thing, you know? It's just a part of my vernacular. It's part of my vocabulary. It's just a part of my being, James.
Is it like a capitalist term, do you think? Because I guess you're trying to work towards the end of the week and the start of the week, I suppose, when you had days off. So you have like, oh, I'll get to the midpoint.
I know. I always thought of it that way. It's kind of like getting over the hump means you're closer to the end than you are the beginning. And like
time away.
Just dying for the weekend. I know.
Oh, it's pretty sad, really, isn't it, if you analyze it?
Yeah, unless you decide to change that, flip the script and take a career break.
Which leads us nicely on to today's episode.
I think it does.
There's 5 points here. I think you've got different types of breaks, and which all have their advantages and disadvantages, and which are quite interesting. So let's crack on with them. The first one is extended PTO block, so pay time off, in case people don't know what that means. I've done this before. Also can be great for, I'd say, more shorter term breaks, because you can't have, well, the trendy term is unlimited PTO now, isn't it? That's another term people use. But also, a big advantage here is you're getting paid for it. So do you see many clients doing this?
No, I mean, I don't have any clients doing this because obviously if they're hiring me, they've like fully committed. They're not paying to like learn how to, take like a 3-day work block off. But I think it's important to kind of start from the beginning and go from the shortest to maybe the longest, because this is a question that a lot of people they're curious about, maybe they get stuck on. It's like, well, what kind of break should I take? Like Katrina and James are talking about career breaks and sabbaticals, but like, is that the only option? Like, if I want to leave work behind, if I need a break, if I want a break, what are the options available to me? So I think today we're going to run through what those options are fairly quickly because they're pretty self-explanatory, but then also talk about how to get clarity on that and talk about maybe the timing on it as well. So to the point where you started us off, right? The most low-hanging fruit if you have a job is to arrange your PTO around maybe, like an extended holiday, a long holiday weekend, or some type of break. But to basically like stack your PTO so that you're putting it together and creating sort of this pause. That's not necessarily the same as a vacation where you're going to go travel or do a lot of things. Like when you're thinking, I really just need a break and I want some time to reflect, to like have some downtime, to just do something fun, to like learn something, do an online class, whatever. PTO is an option. So kind of stacking your PTO together, 3 days, 5 days, what have you, that is an option. And that one does not require giving your notice, which makes it a lot easier for many people. And to the point you said, it is also paid. So kind of low-hanging fruit.
On that one, low-hanging fruit. Have you found people who have somehow accrued and carried over a year's worth of vacation, or they maybe worked more hours than they should have done and maybe got like banked time off, where they've actually then managed to think, do you know what, in this year I'm going to take or ask to take all the time I've worked off, which could be like a month, 2 months, and vacation on top to make it like a 3-month paid break. Have you seen that much?
I personally have not seen that. I'm sure people do that, but 2 things. One, here in the US, a lot of people now work in jobs where you use it or lose it, so it doesn't roll over to the next year. So like they might have had that situation, but companies were like, yeah, I'm not giving you that benefit anymore. So if you don't use it, you lose it by the end of the year. So that's like definitely a thing I see. And then, number two is it's kind of like with the vacation, what I actually do see is when people want to take a break, sometimes people are phasing into their break by using that PTO time or that, like that paid leave that they haven't yet used. They're kind of putting it into practice because they can't cash it out and because they don't want to lose it. So it's like, I'm going to give my notice for 4 weeks, but actually my last 2 weeks are going to be me using those paid leave. So I don't have to come into the office and do work stuff. But like I'm being able to be paid for that time, and I'm kind of cashing out this leave I've accumulated through the year before I go out. So I have seen people do it that way, but I don't sort of see it in the other way because it typically doesn't roll over very often.
Okay. Next one, leave of absence.
Yeah, this is a catch-all, right? So this is if you have a job, an employer, and you want to take a break of some kind, but you don't want to quit your job to do it, this is probably where you're going to find yourself if they don't have a formal sabbatical policy. So a leave of absence, you can take them for many reasons. Companies also have the ability to just give you a leave that is sort of nebulous and vague, and you guys kind of agree on what the purpose is or what the intention is behind it. Things that it might include, right? Bereavement, maybe the 2 days of bereavement they give you to like lose someone that you love very dearly isn't enough. And you can negotiate some time off to really just step back and take care of yourself. Burnout, having mental or physical issues related to burnout, relocation, caregiving, health issues or illness, and or pursuing some type of higher education. So like these are all really common reasons that someone might come to their employer and say, hey, like I need to take some time out. And so basically what they're granting you is a leave of absence. They agree to give you this time away. Sometimes it's paid, sometimes it's not. It depends on the type of leave, the reason for the leave. It depends on your company or organization and their policies. But when you're thinking about, I need some time, but I can't like quit my job, I'm not ready to quit my job, and they don't have a formal sabbatical program, how can I get 1 month, 2 months, maybe 3 months off? You can talk about a leave. And again, there is some ability to create things with leaves or to be more flexible and adaptable and like what is covered. So that is a great option. Sabbaticals are a type of leave. So basically it's like giving you leave to just go live your life, right? They're sort of open-ended. They're very you focused. It's not about somebody died, I have burnout, I have to be a caregiver, like some of the duties of that. It's really just like, you just get this time because you've earned it from working here. And it's a benefit to you to go out and really live your life, focus on yourself, assuming that you are not in academia. Those sabbaticals are still working sabbaticals.
Yeah.
It's just a different kind of sabbatical, but it is not like the focus on you and go live your dreams kind of a break. But outside of academia, if you are in the corporate world or working at, like a nonprofit organization or something, and they're giving you a sabbatical, it's a leave of absence that sort of grants you permission to just go do what you want to do for however long that agreed upon time is. Usually there is a set number of years of service required, varying by company and organization to like when you qualify for a sabbatical. And again, some of those are paid, some of those are not. It just depends on your organization.
Yeah. And the next one is something you know quite a lot about, career breaks.
That's right. Sweet spot. Career breaks, right? Many terms fall into this bucket. You might have heard gap year, which I think of gap years as very travel focused. So when people talk about taking an adult gap year, a lot of times they're envisioning sort of a longer stretch of travel, maybe a year of travel. And then I've also heard the term mini retirement. I hope I don't offend anyone. I hate that term. I hate it. You hate it too? Oh my God, I hate it. I don't want this to turn into like a sub rant episode, but I just have to say, I really do hate it because it's like, also, what is retirement? Like if you're coming in and going out and coming in and going, like, why are we calling it a retirement? Like and it's not really a retirement. It's just a break. Like, why?
Grim. I had Gary Neville on a podcast. Gary Neville's a famous football player in UK, say that he treats his vacations like a mini retirement. It's like, oh, isn't that just a vacation?
Like an extended vacation? Yeah, I know. Yeah, I mean, I know it resonates for some people, right? And it's all about like, call it what you want, as long as you do it. I'm all for it. Like it's your term. But I just think like it's sort of like a cop out. Like it's a break. You're allowed to take breaks. Like retirement is, I don't know. Like it just feels like it's not a retirement. It's not a mini retirement. You're going to unretire. Like what? Why are we calling it that? But whatever. But there are also what I'd like to call real retirements, which are. This brings us to the end, right? The semi-retire and then the early retirement transition. So I have actually seen several clients that I have worked with use this option where it starts as a career break, but knowingly and sometimes unknowingly, it sort of morphs into this transitional period to kind of get reacclimated and redevelop a new normal as they are moving towards semi-retirement or early retirement. And so I think it's really awesome. Again, sometimes people don't know that they're actually going to do that. I think they're programmed to feel like I have to go back to work after a year off. They get a taste of the freedom and the autonomy. They think to themselves, I just want to do work that I like when I feel like doing it. And when I look at my finances and I've readjusted maybe my expenses and I've talked to my financial advisor, I'm realizing I could actually make this work like having a job at Costco or something. Or sometimes it's like not even having a job. It's just like I'll just randomly consult on projects once in a while. And so they basically like create this transition and this ramp where it's like I'm learning how to be a person that has a lot of free time and moves through and kind of like heals some burnout and really just enjoys my life as I transition into this new sort of season of my life where I am retired or semi-retired. And so like I said, like some people use breaks actually as a transition period, which is kind of cool to sample that retirement life and really just have some intention, but it also gives you a beginning and an end point. So it puts it in a container. So like it's easier for your mind to wrap around, okay, I have 1 year to really enjoy myself and be on a break versus I have this infinite, who knows when I'm going to die. I have like this infinite amount of time to figure out what the next second, like the last chapter or whatever this big chapter of my life is going to look like, whatever that is. It's kind of cool to take a break in that way and really give yourself like a safe little container to practice having time and autonomy and seeing where you struggle and where you thrive and kind of build from there as you're reorganizing your brain around what retirement looks like.
Yeah, retirement's an interesting conversation. Love people who retire early because I think they've seen the light. Maybe they've been in corporate for 40, 50 years and think, do you know what? It's time to get out. But I also feel sorry for people who feel like they need to stay in work and they can't retire because it's like there's more to life than just work. But they can't help themselves, right? I guess they might might feel like they get bored or there's no purpose or whatever, right? And I feel like that's quite sad as well. And to add on to this is another conversation. Retirement's an interesting discussion for my generation. What on earth does that look like? Because I don't think we're going to do it if you're working in a normal job somehow. And then, okay, the fourth pillar is if you've got your own business or your own work, that is also an interesting dynamic because you might not feel like you need to retire because you enjoy what you do. Whereas I'm not convinced a lot of people enjoy what they do in corporate. They just love the money and the lifestyle. I don't know.
Yeah. And I mean, I think that's why I see a lot of semi-retirement. And I think semi-retirement is a state of being that if you're just doing things that you like when you feel like doing them, like you could maintain that for a really long time, right? It's not like I need to be done with that by 65. It's like, oh, that's a really interesting way to live. So I like to think of retirement like you have the financial means to basically exit the workforce. And semi-retirement is like I can exit the workforce, but I get to selectively choose when and how I want to pop back in and say hello and do a little thing, but it's not because I need a job. And actually, one of my clients, we had to do a whole session around unpacking what the word work meant to him. And if work wasn't going to be the thing that he was doing, because similar to what you just said, he was like, well, if I retire, I'm going to be bored. Like, what am I actually going to do if I'm not working? Right. And so we had to unpack, well, what counts as work and what doesn't? And sometimes the definition that you have unconsciously does not match the definition that you want to have, nor the one that you want to keep. So it's important to really unpack that and see, like, how does my unconscious brain define work? What counts and qualifies as work, right?
Yeah.
Does money have to be exchanged? Does it have to be hard? Does it have to be something I don't like? Can it be something I love? But what if money isn't exchanged? What if it, it's like what counts? Does volunteering count? Like what counts as work? And there's no right or wrong, but it's really helpful to kind of figure out if there's a checklist of signs, check, 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 right? This is how I know it's work. Like what is that list for you? But he had to really figure that out. And ultimately where he decided to go is that his break will be full autonomy. I don't have to work a day if I don't want to, but I choose to show up and do things with my time. And those things sometimes will happen to be income generating, but I'm not depending on that income. And so he's in financial services. So he wants to do some like on the side financial service investing stuff for friends and family because he finds it really intellectually stimulating and he likes helping people. But it's like, I'm just going to do that for fun, but he will actually get some type of, income from it, but he's not doing it for that income. So it's a really interesting concept to think about. And to your point, I don't know what retirement looks like for people, in our age group and younger. I don't think any of us know, but my vision is that I am able to do work that I enjoy when I want to do it, and to have the financial
Yes.
means to know I'm still participating in some way, but not because I have to, and not 40 or 60 hours a week grinding, 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 right? I think it's the freedom
The
that
freedom.
I'm really
Yeah.
excited for that retirement offers, right?
That's the name of the game, freedom.
Hey there. If you're dreaming of your own career break or sabbatical, or if you're on one right now, I want you to know about the one place that's designed to give you everything you need, Breakspace. It's your launchpad for a life-changing break. Inside, you'll find my Break Blueprint course, live coaching calls, expert-led masterclasses on everything from finances to re-entry, and a global community with dozens of people on the same journey. You don't have to do this alone. We've supported hundreds of breaks. Find out more and learn how you can join us at gobreakspace.com.
In a weird way, I saw a clip of this from Jimmy Carr. Do you know Jimmy Carr, the comedian? He's an English comedian. He tours the US. He does this routine where he gets the audience to ask questions and he reacts to them, right? There could be funny ones, could be serious ones. He got a serious one about careers, and someone said, "Oh, have you got any advice?" This is a comedy show. Have you got any advice for career change? And he's like, "Oh, okay, right." So it's not like a comedy skit here. He's trying to think of an answer, and he just said, "Well, what would you quit your job now to do tomorrow that you wouldn't mind not getting paid for?" Could be painting, art, whatever it is, music. He said, if you got something in mind, maybe go down that career path and try and figure that out. That might be a good way for you to use your time. Because I think he then added, because when you get to the end, people don't retire, he said, because they think they need to earn more money for another 10 years. He goes, but another 10 years is when you're 17, 80. These aren't the best years of your life. There's no reward at the end that you're going to get your 20s and 30s back. Now is the time to try and enjoy yourself because you're younger, a bit more fitter, maybe healthier. So whatever the changes that you want to make, you've got to do it now, because otherwise you'll probably get to 16, 72 tired, done a load of work you don't care about. Yeah, you might be comfortably safe with money, but it's gone, isn't it? Time's gone. No freedom.
Yeah. And I have some clients who are in their late 50s and early 60s that are taking a break, and some of them are semi-retiring, and a couple of them are like, I still need some kind of income. It doesn't need to be the full-time grind career stuff that I did before, but I do still need income once this like break is over. So I think like there are obviously there can be good seasons at every decade, but to your point, there are certain things that you physically can't and won't want to do, right, in your 60s, 70s, 80s that you could do in your 20s or 30s. And I'm in my 40s, like smack dab in the middle. And I can tell you, even at 32, when I was on my break, there are things that I did then that I would not want to do now. Like even just in the, like 12 to whatever, 12-ish years since I took my break, I've changed, right? My body has changed, like things have changed. And so it's not to say that there's ever a wrong time or that it's too late to take a break, or, like you're missing your good years if you don't do it before age like 50 or 60 or whatever. But I think it's important to know like there are limitations. And if you're imagining that you're going to do all the fun stuff, you're going to save all the fun stuff for your 70s and 80s, like it's probably not going to play out the way that you think it is, right? Like you should just spread that crap out, because I want you to have a good time in your 40s and your 50s, 60s, 70s, and your 80s, not to save it all. Like I'm going to make this whole entire 5 decades worth of striving and working so hard. I'm going to make it all like worthwhile in this decade at, like 75 to 85. It's like, that's not probably going to play out the way that you think it is. So I think it's just important to think about that and to design your life accordingly.
And you've got to finish the episode, maybe some steps to help get some clarity for a process.
So, you're like, okay, Katrina, you've outlined some breaks. Like, I kind of want to take a career break, but I don't know, should I do that? Or are there other types? Like, what are some clarifying steps I can take so that I get more clear on what kind of break might be right for me right now? And what I'll say is, you don't have to just take one break. You can take multiple breaks. I've taken 2 career breaks. You can take a PTO block and then you can take a sabbatical. You can take a leave of absence and then take a career break later. So like, please don't feel like this is your one chance to get it right. This is just like what is best for you now and in the near term. Step 1, determine your goal. think about the purpose statement, right? And the why for this break. Like, why would you want to take a break? Is it just because work has been really crazy busy for the last 3 months and you're like, I just need some space to breathe and to catch up on my laundry? Maybe that PTO block will be all that you need, right? Like understanding why you need it is going to really determine and help you determine like what is actually the right kind of break for you. If you're like, I'm burnt out, I'm at the edge of, like like the edge of reason, and I'm constantly like in fight or flight. My nervous system is hijacked. I get angry when people send me emails and I just want to like scream at everyone when the team chat opens. Like, okay, then maybe you need a break, like a career break, right?
Yeah.
2, understand the time required for what you need to accomplish and want to accomplish on this break, right? So consider your themes, consider the activities that are going to help you fulfill that purpose that you just defined in step 1. So if your step 1 is like, I am super burnt out and my health is way out of control, I need time to relax, restore, decompress, and then I also need to set some healthy habits, you can't take a 3-week break. Like that's probably not going to be enough time to accomplish those goals. But if you had 4 months, you might be like, 4 months feels good, right? So depending on what you want to do and kind of what your themes are and those activities that are going to support your themes, you can help get kind of a understanding of how much time would be required. And the third step is examine the possibilities, right? Think about your options. What do I mean when I say this? Look at your employee handbook. So like, why you want to take a break. You know what you want to do on that time, what your themes are, and you have an idea of how much time you would like to spend or need to spend at a minimum. Go to your employee handbook if you don't want to take a career break quite yet and see what kinds of leaves do they talk about? Do they have a sabbatical program? Is there some type of way for me to be away from work but not have to quit my job, right? Just to understand what that looks like. Look at your finances, right? What is actually possible with me financially? Do I have to save more money for this, or do I actually have the money now? Or can I rent out my home and actually make this work and make money? I mean, I don't know what your situation is, but like you should, right? Do the deep dive into your finances to figure out what's possible. And the same thing with other things like healthcare. Like this is really huge in the US. If you have an employer and you're thinking about taking a break, like a career break or semi-retirement type of transitional break, you are going to possibly forego having health insurance and having access to affordable healthcare, which is messed up and scary, right? So it's really important to think about, what would my alternatives for this be? Like I was able to go on the exchange and get healthcare through like healthcare.gov stuff for one of my breaks. I think I was on Medicaid maybe for one of my other breaks, just because I didn't make any money for the 20 months that I was working. But just know what your options are. Maybe your break is short and you want to do Cobra. It's really expensive, but if you love your doctors, if you have expensive medication, if you have like follow-up visits and things that could pop up, it could be worth it to just pay that Cobra to have lower health insurance or healthcare costs in total, and to also have the doctors and the prescriptions that you need and want access to. So it's like things like that. I want you to think about the possibilities, examine the options, and anything that feels like it might be a hurdle, just do like a little deep dive into it to figure out what are the other possibilities for how I could make this work. So we've got determine your goal, i.e. clarify the why, understand the time, i.e. figure out what you want to do and how long the bare minimum is time-wise. And 3 is, once you know those, look at the options, figure out what is even remotely possible. Can you achieve the goal that you have in mind in the time that you have desired with the limitations that you've uncovered in step 3, right? And so you kind of do that math. And if the answer is no, by the way, all hope is not lost. You just have to start saving money or adjust your break plan to be more flexible, right? So like I had to save money. My goal required a career break, not a sabbatical, not a leave of absence. The time I wanted to do it was a minimum 12 months. And my finances were like, girl, you got $1,500 sitting in your bank account. I don't know who you think you're fooling, right? So it's like, okay, I'm going to save. That was my choice. Some of my clients have everything laid out and then they have a health issue arise and they're like, you know what? I'm going to resolve this health issue. I'm going to get my health back to solid and then I'm going to take a break. Whatever it is, you can figure it out. Now, I will say, really look at that employee handbook, because I just had somebody that I did a session with last month who gave her notice for a career break at a very well-known, popular company that would have no problems finding someone to replace her. She gave her notice. about the break and they were like, hold up, hold up. We would hate to lose you. What if we give you paid 3-month leave of absence and give you time to heal some burnout that we have caused from all of the hecticness?
Oh, wow.
And then you can decide if you want to come back. But how about you take 3 months on us?
Wow.
Get your restoration on, and then come back to us and let us know what you think. So like, it wasn't actually explicitly a sabbatical in the handbook, but when she went to give her notice, like I said, they just pull out a leave. They have lots of flexibility with leaves. And so they gave her a leave and it was paid, which is incredible. So, and she's not the only one that I've seen that happen to. So all that to say, you know, there might even be more possibilities than you know before you start moving forward. But that is the approach. That is what I would say. And if you want some data points for timing, because I know that like sometimes it can be hard to conceptualize how long should my break last, which is a big determinant in the type of break that you're going to want and need to take. 3 points for you. My average client is taking an 11-month break. So when I average the amount of time, the length of time across all breaks, 11 months is the exact average. But the majority, when we're talking about like where, you know, like within the standard deviation, where is like the curve, where is it falling? It's between 6 and 12 months. That is typically what I see. The shortest break I have ever coached has been 7 weeks, and the longest has been about 2 years, which was about the same as mine. Inside Break Space, we actually had somebody join who was taking a 5-week break, and it was cool because she was like, wow, this was so insightful and so helpful to be in this community. And I know for sure now I want to take a bigger break. I just have to plan for it. So I'll be back. Look for me in 1 to 2 years. I'll be back and I'll be taking a much bigger break. So again, average 11 months, majority between 6 and 12 months. Shortest I've worked with and seen 5 weeks, longest 2 years. There's no right or wrong answer, but I hope those data points kind of help you figure out where you land and give you some anchor points as you are figuring out what's possible for you.
And my last comment to finish the episode is you just got to ask or tell your company. I've said before in this podcast that I handed my notice in when I went in 2023, and I got a message back saying, oh, well, how about we turn it into a sabbatical for 12 months? We don't normally do this, but we're happy to hold a job, unpaid, but we're happy to hold a job for you when you come back. I said no, but I didn't even realise that was possible, that option. And I don't technically think it is, but obviously it depends what type of employee you are. If they love you and they're willing to go out there and maybe want to retain you, then there's options, I think, possibilities.
Yeah, I think the hard part with that, I will say I agree with you. I've seen this happen for many of my clients. Well, not many, but a fair amount. I think the hard part is you have to be willing to like lose it, right? So you can't go to your job and be like, hey, I'm going to give my notice unless you come up with something better, because they might just be like, okay, great, see you later. And then you're, without a job. So just be sure you actually are cool with taking a break or quitting if you're putting that on the table. But the other thing is sometimes, not always, even talking to your employer, like saying like, hey, I really would like to take a sabbatical. I know we don't have a formal policy around that. Is there a way we can create a leave where I can take a leave of absence? Some employers do get on board with that, but I also have seen that they are like, no, sorry, we're too busy. We can't do that. And it's not until you've threatened to leave, right? And not even threatened, like you've basically stated your desire and intention to leave, that they then are like, oh, okay, now we'll do hard things. Now we'll do hard things. So like, I think like your results may vary, but for sure, if you want to ask for a leave or even just like explore with your manager or something, or HR, like, hey, we don't have a formal sabbatical policy. Is that something that you've ever done? Is that something you would do for someone, whatever? Like you might have to make a case for why it's valuable to you and how it's going to be valuable to them, and also how your work is going to be covered while you're gone if they don't have a formal policy. But yeah, it's definitely something to think about.
Yeah. Okay. And one thing I want to mention, we are going to finish the episode, but I mentioned off camera after the last episode that we end them really awkwardly. So what is a way where we can end them nicely?
Oh, are we brainstorming live in our podcast?
Yeah.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah, cheers, Katrina. See you next time. Is that normal? I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know either. Actually, I tend to just default to like, wow, I love it. Awesome. Thanks, James. And then I'm good.
Maybe that's enough. I don't know.
Yeah. I guess if I'm just curious, if you're a listener and you want to reach out to us and tell us, like, do you find our awkward endings funny or annoying? We would love to know.
And if you made it this far, great as well, because you got to the end. Yeah.
Love it. Okay. Well, yet another awesome episode, James.
Yes.
Love it. Thanks. See what I did there?
Yeah, love it. Yeah, okay. See you next time.
All right. Bye.
Goodbye.
Want to leave the rat race behind? Come check out Breakspace. It's a new community for current and aspiring career breakers and sabbatical takers, just like you, who are ready for a life-changing experience. Breakspace is a one-of-a-kind launchpad with hands-on coaching, dynamic courses, and genuine connection. Don't go it alone. Visit breakspacecrew.com to see what all the hype is about.